to this week's Cats Whiskers TV. Aaron joins me once again. You all right, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How's yourself?
Ah, not too bad at all. Unfortunately, Paul is not with us again tonight. He's still feeling a bit under the weather, so hopefully he will be back with us next week. Just one part of the show tonight, so you haven't got two parts, unfortunately. Oh, I hear them say. I can hear them. I can hear them crying out there in YouTube land. So just one part tonight. We're going to look back at the 7 games that took place in the Elite League last week. First, starting on Friday night, where of course Panthers, on the back of a great 8-3 victory, was it? Yeah, 8-3 victory against Belfast.
It was a victory anyway.
It was a victory, that's all that matters. Travelled to second place Braehead Clan, another big game, and coming away with a 5-4 overtime victory. So, cracking result for Panthers.
Yeah, cracking result, but a bit nervy at times, wasn't it? I mean, you know, to go 2-0 up in what I think most Panthers fans would have said was going to be a difficult game was the perfect start for us. But, you know, we've talked about Braehead and the team that they've got this year, and they were never going to give that game up lightly. You know, they were always going to get sort of back into the game at that stage. And it's, you know, it goes to that man again, doesn't it? Matt Francis, Franny. He's scored so many important goals for us at so crucial times. And, I mean, look, when I saw that on Twitter, I was just ecstatic. I really was. I was like, "You beauty!" And I think I tweeted that actually. But crushing for the Braehead Clan. Only 3 seconds left in the game. But for me, that could be such a crucial extra point. And to get that win, you know, after the amount of games that we've had, really, you know, it signs off that period that we've had of hockey on a real positive note. You know, what I would say is that, looking from the report on Panthers' website, you know, Corey Nielsen isn't that happy with how we played, but I think it was just crucial to get the extra point when it went to OT, so very happy.
I'm quite happy actually that Corey isn't satisfied with that. I mean, that shows, you know, it's not good enough. We went there and won, but it's not good enough. And that's the team second place in the league. They're above us in the league. So, you know, I think that's the sort of attitude that Corey likes to instill in all of his teams, though. You know, you've got to be striving for better.
Well, I think that's the case with how we've been this season. Look, you know, we beat Belfast, but we said that was a bit of a dodgy game and a dodgy result, really. So people might have got a bit carried away and maybe thinking that going up there we can, you know, we're sort of on the ball rolling as it was. But we've got to still get these performances right. You know, we're not performing to our capability on a regular basis. Yes, we've seen flashes and you know, the odd period that we think, wow, you know, we have got the makings of a real quality championship side here. But it's about consistency, and I think from Corey's point of view, this is just my opinion obviously, but I don't think he's seeing that enough. And it's great that we're getting the results obviously, but I think, you know, as a coach you're always trying to get the best out of your players, and he obviously wants to see better performances.
Of course, some good performances. Peter Callis with a goal and 2 assists. Robert Farmer getting man of the match with a goal and assist, which I didn't go down too well with the Clan crowd apparently. No. However, one player I do want to mention from the Clan is Ash Goldie, coming back after injury with a great 2+1 performance, which he replicated the next night again against Cardiff, and that's a very important player coming back for Braehead.
Well, I was just going to say, what an important player for Braehead. You know, they've missed him while he's been out, and you can tell straight away from the weekend the impact that he's obviously has in that side, and the buzz and the creativity that he gives that Braehead Clan team. You know, like I say, they've obviously missed him, and to come back, you know, after the time out, sometimes they're a little bit rusty. You know, they take a few games to get back in, but man, did he hit the ground running. And look, if he's going to really be a player that the Braehead Clan hopefully can, you know, have now for a few weeks and really push on. But what a performance by the Clan on the Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't unfortunately get to see it live because I was babysitting my nephew on Saturday night, but I watched a recording that I made on Sunday. Sports are getting some quality games for their money this season. Yeah, that's another great game that they picked picked up. And again, I watched the coverage. The coverage is just getting better and better. They've tightened up the highlights a bit more. But Shane Luss was an excellent colour commentator. They had old Slapshot Scotland doing the interviews off the ring. Craig Anderson. Yeah. So it was a cracking and well covered game. Some great camera angles to some of the goals as well. But yeah, 8-4. But a couple of things I do want to pick out from that is Dan Lacosta once again leaving the game with a concussion. Yeah. Complete accident. Tristan Harper fell over. His skate whipped up and just caught him right under the chin. And you could see from the TV coverage that he was just completely out of it afterwards. And you know, it's never nice to get a concussion, and I wish him a very speedy recovery from that.
Yeah, I mean that's the third. I believe it's the third time this year that he's had concussion, and I mean, look, we've spoken about the Devils and what Lacosta brings them, and it's never nice to see a player get injured or go off the ice due to injury. And concussion is just such a, you never know how long he's going to be out for now. You don't know. I mean, like I say, 3 times in the season is very, very unlucky.
Especially so with only 3 months gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange one, isn't it, really? But we'll see how that injury, you know, affects the Devils going forward. But I'd just like to say regarding the Clan, I mean, you know, Friday's result and game could have took a lot out of them with how it ended, you know, with the 3 seconds. And yes, it was another home game, so that would have been a little bit easier. But that's taking defeat and then really, you know, using that as a motivation for the following day, isn't it? Really,
yeah,
in the following game. Yeah. And you know, the Devils have had a little bit of resurgence of late. You know, they've got a cracking result against us, obviously.
Some cracking hats by Brent Pope again as well. It was a nice Undertaker's type one to start off, which was most bizarre. But
I think he's got a sideline business personally. But I just think, you know, fair play to the Clan for coming out and you know, not taking that game lightly. And they put the Devils to the sword, you know, to score 8 goals against them. And I know people say Lacosta and stuff, but it's still a cracking result.
Of course, moving on to the top place team, which is the Belfast Giants. Their first home game since the 3rd of November after a big road trip which yielded 12 points from 8 road games. And they come back with a 6-3 victory against the Caps. Seemed to be cruising in that one because they were 6-1 up, but then allowed a couple of late goals from the Capitals, which I'm sure Paul Lady probably won't be too happy about.
No, I think it was revenge, wasn't it, really, for them? Like you say, first game back after a long, long road trip. Revenge against a team that, you know, they lost to while on the away trip. And Paul Lady would really have, you know, liked to have maybe even tried to get a shutout in there. And, you know, as a team, really just put a bit of dominance in that game and show sort of why they are top of the league. But it's a great result for them at the end of the day. And even though the Caps got a couple of goals back, you know, it was still a pretty easy game for them.
Well, you only have to look at the shots on goal. I mean, the Giants with 54 shots on goal were against the Caps 28. So, you know, looking at that dominance, it's pretty obvious that they deserve to win. The mention to Evan Chevry as well, 4 assists, and we saw how good he was last Tuesday, setting up Craig Peacock twice for a couple of goals. The other game on Saturday, of course, was Fife against Hull, which were finished with a 4-3 victory to Fife after a shootout. Tim Hartung winning it in the 8th round of penalty shots. That's going some.
That's it's a bit squeaky bum time, that is, isn't it? But cracking win for Fife there. The start of a very good weekend, really, isn't it? But first league win since beating the Panthers on the 9th of November as well. So very much needed.
They needed that.
Yeah, very much needed win for them. But when you look at the shots on goal, you know, 38 of Fife to 31 Hull, it's a tight game, isn't it? And you know, to go down to the 8th round of shootout shows you how close it is.
Valuable point for Hull, but I think the thing they'll probably mostly take from the game is 2 very bad injuries to Tom Squires and Sam Towner, both getting hit by the puck. Sam Towner in the game itself on the ice, and Tom Squires was on the bench and got hit by the puck. It looked a very, very nasty injury. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but they don't look pleasant.
It just shows you that you've got no luck there, does it, really? You know, being hit with the puck on the ice is one thing, but then being hit by the puck while you're on the bench is another one, isn't it? But yes, I think if Hull looks at it from that sense, then it might be a valuable point for them. And look, shootouts when you get to the 8th round, it's just look at the draw, isn't it? Really. But no, a good point for them, but a very much needed win for the Fife Flyers.
And of course, they took that momentum into Sunday, going down to the Sky Dome. Coventry cruising after 2 periods, 4-2 up. And then seemed to self-destruct from what I was looking at on Twitter. 5 unanswered goal, 5-0. Fife won that final period. But I mean, if you look at the penalty count, Kevin Harvey got thrown from the game with a 5+ game for charging. Ashley Tate 2+10 for a check from behind, and that's going to damage you when players like that are leaving the game. And Fife took absolute advantage. And from what Paul Wheeler I saw was tweeting, he says it was absolute dominance by Fife in that 3rd period.
Yeah, I mean, I was Stu the Badger. I believe he. I think they have a thing in Coventry where they go fire alarm in block 2, because I think a few people deserted the Sky Dome in that 3rd period. I mean, from the Blazers' point of view, you really, like you say, cruising at one point, but didn't play for 60 minutes, did they? How many times did we say on this show that teams that don't play for 60 minutes don't necessarily get the right result? But fair play to five unanswered goals. That is some performance, and it just shows you what you can do in 20 minutes of hockey.
Well, they had 18 shots in that final period to score those 5 goals. Bobby Shimon with a hat-trick, Justin DaCosta every time. Justin DaCosta with 3 assists from defence. Real team performance and much needed for Fife, because I think they were a bit in the doldrums after their recent results, and then to come back from a 4-point weekend. But I think it just emphasises how topsy-turvy this league is this year. It's incredible the inconsistency of near enough every team.
Well, I mean, it's great in one way because everything's a little bit tighter, and you never know what you're going to get on each game. But then on the other hand, it's not so great. But when you say 18 shots in that final 3rd period, and they had 39 in total, that shows you just how much either dominance you want to say from the Fife point of view they had in that 3rd period, or how the Blaze just fell apart. And I think that would be the one thing that the Blaze players and obviously the coach will be looking at is what went wrong in that 3rd period. You can say Tate, you can say Harvey, but I mean, come on, really, you're at home, you're on a positive way of winning that, and then you've just fall apart. That's serious questions need to be asked about that, really.
Caps, they went back to Edinburgh on Sunday, and another defeat for them. But Hull, you've got to give credit to Hull, because there were 2 skaters down, obviously losing Towner and Squires. I think they only had 12 skaters for this game, and taking the 5-4 victory. Tendler with a couple of goals, Silverthorne with a goal and a couple of assists. Horner with a couple for the Caps, but it's Caps' first home loss since the 3rd of November when I was looking back at that. That shows how dominant they've been recently.
Well, it just shows you how important your home form can be as well, doesn't it? We've said that teams build for the home results and then you look what you can get away. But, I mean, for that, it's a really good, solid weekend for Hull there, isn't it, really? And look, Tendler, we've always said, what you can get in Tendler. I mean, a tough game for the Caps. They would have been hoping that they'd get a result, with going back at home and getting the home support and their results so far on home soil. But close game, so it could have gone either way. But a good end to the weekend for Hull.
Yeah, I mean, 3 points from the weekend. That's good for them. And they're another team who've sort of been inconsistent, but seem to be picking up points.
Well, and I think, look, when you look at the Elite League, even at the top compared to the bottom, a 1 point weekend or a 2 point weekend or a 3 point, 4 point, whatever point, the extra points you get, they are so crucial at the moment because it is so tight. And when I say about the Panthers, that extra point that we got in Braehead, the 3 points that Hull have got, these points that that you might not think you'll get, or you get because it's overtime or a shootout, they can be so crucial because the league is that tight, whether you're at the top or whether you're at the bottom. So for somebody like Hull, which have struggled for inconsistency, when you get a 3 point weekend, it's a massive result for you.
Final game of the weekend was, of course, Cardiff Devils at home to the Dundee Stars. And Cardiff were another one cruising in this one, 4-1 up. And Stars managed to battle back, take it to the shootout, which Cardiff won 5-4. But Dundee, only 12 skaters in this game as well. So, but you know, Cardiff, you've got to give credit. Joe Myers had the start because obviously of Lacoste's injury, and he managed to get the shootout win. So that's going to do wonders for his confidence, especially if he has to have a prolonged run in the side.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, we don't know how long Lacoste's going to be out for. And obviously, from that point of view, Joe Myers will be really, well, should be buzzing from the fact that he's managed to get that shutout win. And looking at some tweets and stuff like that, he did quite, you know, he did, although it got to the shootout, he did perform quite well in the game as well. So he'll obviously take a lot of confidence from that. Disappointing for the Stars from that point of view. You'd like to try and get the shutout. I mean, the shootout win. But it's interesting, isn't it? Devils seem to be possibly relying a little bit on their home form at the moment. And I saw a tweet, I can't remember who it was from actually, but talking about Matthew Myers and how they're starting to, he's not really set the world alight. I think everybody thought that he
started scoring points.
Yeah, well, I think everybody thought, you know, Matt Myers from the Panthers had a great, outstanding season. He's going to come in there and just be the player, an outstanding player. But I think he's taken the time to adjust to the rink, to the team, to the surroundings and what's been going on. And I think he's starting to, you know, I think we might start to see the real Matthew Myers that, you know, the Panthers have seen for many years. So a good win for the Devils in the shootout. But it'll be interesting to see regarding Lacoste, how long is he out for? Will they have to bring somebody else in? It'll be interesting, but great for Joe Myers in that sense to get the shootout win.
Of course, Jerry Polistroni from the Dundee Stars, he managed a hat-trick, so a good performance. And also Thomas Kirker, one of the Devils' newer players, looked very, very impressive when I've seen him play 2+2. Yeah. So, you know, he's turned out to be a very important player for the Devils.
I think the Devils, though, again, you know, going back to the league, is how important is that win against the Stars? You know, somebody that obviously a team that's performed extremely well at the start, but the Devils, you know, they're still down there in the bottom, and with the results from Fife, with Edinburgh and the sort of upsurge that they've had in previous weeks, it's still very tight down there. So, you know, the Devils are no means sort of, you know, moving on up to a certain degree. They're still battling points at the bottom there, so it's great from that point of view.
Well, of course, no game for the Steelers this week. They managed to get a weekend off, which good for them, probably help relieve some sore bodies. So the Elite League, still Belfast at the top, 33 points. Braehead second, 29. Dundee third with 26, courtesy of that point they earned yesterday. And Panthers also on 26 points in fourth place with Sheffield fifth. So still very, very tight. With Coventry sixth with 23 points. So incredibly tight at the top.
It is, and I think, you know, we need to get games in hand out of the way. We need to sort of get to the point where everybody's played the same amount of games and we can see really how everybody is there. But look, it's extremely tight. Teams are going to take points off each other. I know people say Belfast have had a very strong start to the season and stuff, but I don't think you can even sort of say that they're going to run away with the league. It's no team at this point is really running away with it. I think, like I say, get the games in hand out of the way. Let's see where everybody is there. There's going to be teams, everybody wants a piece of it. They're going to still believe that they can get it. Look, we're not even at Christmas yet. Christmas, New Year period is crucial for everybody. And I think maybe once we get into January, we'll sort of see we'll see, you know, whether teams will pull away like the Panthers, like the Steelers. Will we then see them, you know, really go into the run-in with the confidence as being top teams, or will these Dundees, will the, you know, Coventry fight back, will Edinburgh, who's going to be at the bottom? It's going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, very, a lot more hockey to be played just yet. Our hot topic this week is, should teams be able to request disciplinary reviews for incidents, or should each game be reviewed by the disciplinary committee? Now, we've had a quick chat about this before we set the camera to record, and we have quite differing views on this, because my opinion is I think every game should be reviewed regardless by the committee or Murray Hansen or whoever. However, your view is slightly different to mine.
Well, I think that's possibly maybe the right way to go. But at the moment in time, I just personally don't think the resources are there to have that as a viable option. So for me, it's what is the next best option that we can have that the resources are there for. I mean, I personally don't like how it is at the moment. I think it's a little bit, can come across sometimes as catty, it can come across as a bit whiny. It's the people that should be making the decisions and should be enforcing the bans, etc., aren't really enforcing it because it's down to a club basically. If I don't like that as either a club owner or a club coach or player, blah blah blah, I then choose for that to be reviewed. I don't know. It's a little bit unclear for me, really. There's not. Yes, a club can review, but it's a bit like, well, a club can review anything. Whatever you don't like, you can review. It's a bit, well, what the hell's the ref there for, to a certain degree? And is it taking anything away from the ref? Is it, the ref always has in the back of its mind, well, if I don't call it, then a club can challenge it. It's a little bit undermining of the ref as well, I feel.
Well, let me use a hypothetical example. You've got Belfast at top, Braehead second. So Belfast are playing Braehead. An incident happens. Belfast go, you know what? I'm going to get that reviewed because that Braehead player then might get banned, and that weakens their challenge for us. And that's what I don't like about it. That was hypothetical, by the way, Belfast fans, please. I'm not alleging anything in the slightest. I'm just using that as an example.
Paddy won't be happy.
Paddy's never happy. So. But I mean, that's the sort of thing that can happen. That's the sort of thing that sort of annoys me about this system, where you've got some clubs who don't review, tend not to review, and then you've got others who seem to review on a regular basis. And I just think if you had the disciplinary committee reviewing every game, then it makes it transparent. Every game's getting looked at, and it then puts it in the hands of an independent committee rather than the clubs themselves.
I agree with that, but then I'll ask you a question, right? I'm Tom Darnell, I'm Mike Hicks, right? I don't see something, okay? But the committee, then the video gets sent to the committee, DVD, etc. So then, does the committee then review everything, or does it have to be based on what the referees report? Because if I didn't see it, so I'm a ref, I didn't see it, so I didn't call that. Does then the committee review that, or is it right? Well, I saw that, but I only gave it a 2-minute because I thought it was, whatever call it was. But you're the committee member, and you go, well, no, that should be more. Where's that? Where does it come from?
My view is that every game should be reviewed. Yeah. Murray Hansen's the head of that committee. However, you probably have 5 or 6 people reviewing games, so it goes to certain people, and it's mixed up who it goes to each time, so it's not the same person looking at the same team, and then that person looks and they decide if any incidents are worthy of any further bans. That is the way I would look at it. Obviously, you've got to get them 6 people, but because you can't expect Murray Hansen to do it all on his own. That's impossible. But I think there needs to be a better system than what there is at the moment.
You see, who is this disciplinary committee? We hear obviously Murray Hansen's there, so is it
to be honest, I don't know, and if anybody does know, please tweet in and let us know, because we genuinely don't. I think personally it is just Murray Hansen.
Well, then it's unrealistic for him to review pretty much, because you go into the aspect of how many days does he work, what's his wage, but what's he paid for, etc. But like I first said, I think the ideal situation would be to have a disciplinary committee that review it. But for me, it's then you have to give the refs some sort of control and some sort of ownership. So, they've got to manage it first of all on the ice, and we should be promoting that the officials try and get it right on the ice before anything is reviewed.
Yeah, I agree, but the thing, the referees are only human, and they're not going to see the stuff that goes on behind that they can miss.
Look, I try to champion refs in this league, and I'm greatly defensive of them, to be honest. So I understand they're only human, but then is it done on, like I say earlier, is it done on what they see in their report? And if they report it and they only give 2 minutes, then as a review panel you can increase that in accordance to what you believe? Or does it go, it doesn't matter whether the ref saw it or gave anything, we have the power to review anything in the game and hand out anything that we believe? There's got to be that clarification. But then it's the committee, who do you get? You know, should they have ties to any club? Should it be a mixture of people on the club so you get transparency that way? There's a lot of resources having to go into that. So it's a very difficult one, but I think you'll probably struggle to find a lot of people that's happy with it at the moment.
Well, we asked for your tweets on this subject, and we got quite a few through, and again, very, very different opinions. So we've got Adam Reddish, the first one, Panthers fan. He said, "I'd be happy to let the disciplinary panel review all games as standard practice and take the clubs out of the equation. Should remove clubs requesting supplementary discipline out of spite if games haven't gone the way they want." And I think he's got a point there, because that could happen. There could be a bit of spite there.
Well, just very brief. You know, look, you've got a Panthers-Steelers double-header over Christmas. What's saying that, you know, either team, you know, let's say from that point of view, before people start moaning, can ask for a review to get somebody suspended from the next game?
It's a fair point, a very fair point.
That's what it offers at the moment.
Niall Perry, who's a Belfast fan, he says it's not practical for every game to be reviewed. I'm sure Murray Hanson is not on the full-time wage or anything like it, and it's like you say, we don't know. If anybody knows better, please let us know. EIHL Fans Nation, he says every game should be reviewed by the committee. So again, another different view.
Obviously a committee somewhere.
Issues can be dealt with quickly rather than the teams doing it for them, and I think a lot of the thing is coming through is that it's the teams that are requesting it, and I think that's what needs to be taken out of the equation.
Well, it is the teams, because that's what you read. You read, you know, match reports or disciplinary reports where it says Brayhead clan have asked for a review of the David Clark hit, and then he gets a 5+ game. So it is the clubs that are asking for it. You can't, you know, beat around the bushes to say that's what's happening.
A couple of boys from Panthers Hockey Live, Antoine Marijon, who's well known to this show.
Beautifully said.
Thank you very much. So, Antoine says, this referring individual incidents to the league is laughable. The Elite League should be reviewing all of the games, which means employing assistants for Murray, which is what I've said, or reviewing none. This current tickle-tackling to the league is a joke and seems to be tactical most of the time. Teams should stand up and sort it out on the ice. And I know Anton's been shouting about this pretty much all season. He thinks it's pretty terrible. However, Andy Haywood, also a Panthers Hockey Live, another friend of the show, he says it would be impossible to review each game fully. I personally don't see what the issue is with what we have already. So many differing opinions out there. So many different ones. Andrew Warren, who's another Panthers fan, it comes across as whiny, but if it's in the rules and everyone else is doing it, you don't get points for honour. I have yet to see a team really gain from asking. Normally helps your opposition. Why help others beat your rivals? And I suppose that's a fair point, because if you get a player banned, that opposition is going to be weakened for for foreign games, and if they're weakened against rivals you're going up against.
Well, on that, just very quickly, I think that's where sort of tactics might come into it, though. It's when you pick and choose. If it's when you choose to review something, you look at games, you maybe look at what's happening and stuff like that. Teams can have that capability at the moment. It's a subject where there's not much clarification either way, is there? Really, it's not really transparent as the league set it out, and that's where you get fans with different opinions. But it's great that fans have these different opinions, because it would be boring if we all went, yes, we're very happy with it, everything's great, carry on. I think we need those opinions to further the league and improve the league as well.
Final couple of tweets. We've got Max Coppinger, who's a Panthers fan. We're a small league, surely it wouldn't be that difficult to review all the games, at most 5 in one night. But 5 in a night is still 10 12 hours of footage to look through.
Get 60 minutes a game, and
plus all the stoppages.
Well, exactly, and then you want to review it. You want to look at an incident maybe more than once. You want to review if you get a different angle. You then want to speak to the teams, speak to the opposition. It's a big ask, and that's what I'm saying. The resources aren't there at the moment.
Final tweet from Glenn McKinstry, who is Giants fan. Clubs have to pay, so should only ask if genuine claim, not petty gameship. It's there to protect the players ultimately, which is a fair point.
It is, and regarding the pain and stuff like that, we saw instances of that last season, didn't we? When a team was pretty much asking requests every week, and it got to the point where they were going to get charged for every other review. And there's obviously that in place to stop people just asking for any Tom, Dick or Harry to be assessed. And I think it comes down to the teams. They've got to have a bit of pride, a bit of honour, and a bit of sportsmanship, to the sense of, look, if you fully believe something is wrong, by all means review it. But it's how often these reviews are seen, and does it balance it up over a season, and does it get to the point where you're just seeing reviews for the hell of it? That's for me.
Actually, one last one I want to bring in from Tana55. He says, I think it's an awful lot of power for one man to enforce decisions without a right of reply. The ref in football has the final say, and that's a good point, actually.
Well, this is what I'm saying. In football, there is a lot of pressure on refs, and then they have it. And this is why I bring up the fact of, if we had a review and a disciplinary committee, does it go on the ref's report? Because I believe, and I could be wrong, but in football, if the ref doesn't see it, you can't do anything about it, or it could be the other way around. If the ref sees it, which I believe is right, actually, if the ref sees it and writes it in his report and he gave you a yellow card, for example, then the FA can't do anything about it. The ref's dealt with it, end of. But if they don't see it, then they have the option to enforce a ban, and maybe that's something that we might have to look at, because ultimately the ref's got to have the final say, as it was, on the ice. And if he doesn't see it, or if he believes that it's blah blah, then do we not just have to go, do you know what, the ref's giving it, we have to just get on with it? Because otherwise we're just second guessing refs all the time, and does it really give the confidence to a ref to go out there and do his job with the full confidence of the disciplinary review board, etc.?
You don't want them going out nervous.
Exactly. It's a tough enough job anyway. So they don't want to go, well, hang on a minute, if I do that 2 minutes for that, oh my God, I'm going to get Murray Hanson on the phone, I'm going to get a team owner on the phone, it's a difficult job as it is. We need to make it as easy as possible.
And I think just before we wind this section up, I think it's worth saying that there's been massive improvements with the disciplinary system this season, because it is far more transparent. Decisions are being made quickly. Bans are being handed out for dangerous incidents. So it's by no means complaining about that. I think it's just the system in which the reviews can go in.
Well, look, we're hockey fans at the end of the day. We're never going to be happy, are we? We're always going to find something to discuss, to want better. And I think even, yes, we have to say, look, it's been great. Murray Hanson's come in, transparency has started to happen. There is a consistency there as well on occasions. So, look, we're starting to build foundations, but like I say, we're hockey fans. We always think we can see better and do better. So we'll just see. I think it's going to go on for the season, and we'll see what happens next season as well. You can't just expect Murray Hanson to come in and it be perfect. I'm sure they're looking at 3-year plans, 5-year plans, etc. So, but it's been good so far, hasn't it?
And also, like you say, many thanks for the tweets that you sent in for our hot topic. Please keep them coming into us. We're going to wrap up the show with a quick look ahead to the games that are coming up this week in the Elite League. Starting on Wednesday night, Steelers against Caps at Ice Sheffield. By no means a foregone conclusion. What do you think?
No, well, like we said earlier, Steelers have had a weekend off, haven't you? So does that refresh the batteries, or is it a little bit, sometimes you like to carry on, don't you, to keep the momentum going? I'm going to go for a Steelers win, though. I think they'll probably come out and they'll be refreshed, and they'll give it a good game there.
I'm going to also go for a Steelers win, but in overtime.
Ooh.
There you go. Thursday night, Stars against Hull. So Hull back up in Scotland after a couple of decent results at the weekend. Stars, disappointing result on Sunday night, but still dragged a point out of pretty much nowhere. So I think game too far for Hull, especially if they've still got Squires and Tyner out, which leaves them short bench. I'm going Stars win.
Yeah, I mean, I always find these midweek, like Tuesday games, Thursday games, they're a little bit, just a bit odd, aren't they? Really, especially if they're away. So, I mean, it's not a long journey compared to others. But I agree with you. I think if they're going to have skaters missing, I think the Stars, obviously at home, they didn't have the greatest of weekends, although they didn't have the worst. By all means, I think that's going to be a Stars. I think it'll be a close game, but I think it'll be a Stars in regular time for me.
Friday is Giants against Fife. Fife obviously with a bit of momentum after a 4-point weekend and an excellent result in Coventry, but Giants too strong at home, I think.
I think that's the point as well, isn't it? They've been away for so long now, and I think they'll want to follow, their result against the Caps, or with another home performance as well. And I don't get me wrong, I think Fife will put up quite a good fight there. Sort of nothing to lose, is it really, against the Giants at the moment? So I think it'll be a tightish game, but I think the Giants will win that by a couple of goals.
Some big games coming up on Saturday, and none bigger than Giants against the Steelers. That's a huge game in so many senses. Again, I think Giants at home, the Steelers, I think aren't as good as the Giants. I think the league table shows that. I'm going to go for a Giants win.
Regular time?
Regulation, yeah.
Yeah, regulation. I'm actually going to go for an upset there, I think. I'm going to go for a Steelers win. I probably won't say in regulation, but for me, just a very quick question to you is, what's the best result there from a Panthers point of view?
Now you're putting me on the spot. From a Panthers point of view, probably a Steelers win. We wouldn't want either team to get points for an overtime. So I think a Steelers regulation win, from our point of view, is going to be the best result there. But I feel dirty. But I can't see it. I think Giants will win.
Should be a cracking game, though.
Oh yeah, I imagine it will be. Hull against the Caps. So Hull are returning to Hull Arena, which got a bit of flood damage in the week, but it seems to be okay, and the game is on. I'm going to go for a Hull win. I fancy them to win that. Yeah.
I'm going to go for a Caps victory myself. I think they've obviously playing Wednesday, so they'll have a bit of time after that. I just fancy a Caps win there. I think Hull sometimes have been a bit inconsistent at home, and sometimes they don't perform to their capability against the sides sort of around them, and they're battling. And I think Caps, even though they've stumbled a little bit, I think they've still got that bit of momentum, and I think they really feel confident playing the teams sort of in their conference. So I'm going to go for a Caps win.
Fife against Clan.
Good game.
Ooh, and that's of course live on Premier Sports.
Yeah. Some atmosphere there.
Well, there certainly will be after what's happened this weekend. So I think Fife will smell a bit of blood, but I think Clan have got just a little bit too much quality for the Flies. But I can see that one probably going to overtime.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Clan as well, they're in second place, and there's real opportunity to put a bit of distance between, obviously, the Clan and the following pack, depending on results. And I think they're going to want to stay in contention with Belfast as well. So for them, it's not going to be an easy game. I think it's on Premier Sports. It's in Fife. There's going to be a lot of build-up. There's going to be a lot of atmosphere. They're going to get the crowd going, which is not very difficult in Fife. So I think that could be an overtime, even a shootout. And I'm going for a 5.
Okay. Finally, Devils against Panthers on Saturday, which after 2 weeks ago, Panthers need to put a performance in there to sort of exercise them demons from 2 weeks ago. And I think they'll do it. I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to win well.
Well, for me,
no pressure.
Yeah, as a player, there's no real motivation in that game. You don't need you shouldn't need motivating for that game. For me, Corey Nielsen doesn't have to say many words, or shouldn't have to say that many words, because there is a lot of wrong to put right in Saturday night. And I agree with you. Obviously, it depends on, Lacosta, Joe Myers. There's going to be a lot. For me, though, we're coming into a point now where we're going to see something from the Panthers. We're going to see what they're made of. We're going to see what what this defence of the Elite League title means to them. And this is a perfect game to go out there and rewrite the wrongs from the previous game in the BBT, and really sort of send out a statement and really get this Christmas festive period off to a positive start. We've had a bit of rest. Hopefully that'll bring back a few bodies. Hopefully we can work on a few things in training. So, for me, that's not actually the most crucial game for us this weekend. It's not the one which I think could be the toughest game. I think Sunday's game for us is quite crucial. But I'll go for a Panthers win on that one.
So yeah, moving on to Sunday, beautifully seen them. So Panthers against Clan, 4 p.m. on Sunday. That is a massive game.
It is, because the clan are there. The clan, and they're not going to go away, unfortunately. And it was such
they're where they are on merit completely.
Exactly, and look. We won by within 3 seconds of it going to a shootout. They're going to want revenge. They're going to know that they can score a few goals against us. I've said things in the past, but I think this coming into this period, the crowd and it's a Sunday game, and we know some Sunday's game can be a little bit lacklustre and a little bit boring. It's a little bit quiet. I'm going to say it again, but the crowd's really got to start getting into these games, and we've got to really start pushing this team through this period. And it's all right saying Sheffield, on the Saturday of Christmas between New Year. This is more crucial. This is the next game at home. We need to be on it. We need to be fired up as a crowd to then give the players some motivation. And by all means, if they give us something, then great. Thrive on that. We really need to, really make this a fortress, as it would, over the coming weeks. And if we're going to be up there and we're going to get to first place, we need to beat the team in second at the moment, and that's the Clan.
I think Panthers are going to win. I think I'm going for a 4-point weekend, and I think we're just too strong at home at the moment, and I think we will win that game in regulation. Caps against Stars, that could be a close one. Caps, falling down at home last week, but Stars maybe still with a bit of a short bench. So,
well, I think it's back to the home form of the Caps, isn't it? That's been quite, that's been their linchpin for the season. But the Stars are there, and they're going to want to keep in contention with the rest, because every point to them at the moment is a bonus. It's another point to the total that they've already assumed. I see that really as quite a tight game, because although the league positions are very different, I don't think when you actually come to the end of the season that they're going to be quite close. But I actually do think the Caps might struggle in that one. I see a Stars win for me.
And then finally, Steelers against Blaze on Sunday. We all know about Steelers and Sundays. Mind you, they won last Sunday, and they didn't play this, so that's 2 Sundays on the trot where they haven't lost a game, so it's getting better for them. I don't know how much of the Blaze stinging from that defeat to Fife. I think that has a chance of being a close one.
Yeah, I think it's a humdinger, some people might say. I think from the Steelers' point of view, it's what do they get out of the Giants on the Saturday. Look, from the Blaze point of view, like we just mentioned about the Panthers going to Cardiff, because of the performance that they put in, I'm pretty sure they won't need much motivation. We've talked about the Fife game at home. They've got to, put something right. I mean, it's not even at home, so I don't even know what I'm talking about there. But I mean, just the next performance. But look, it's as a performance, they need to put it right. I think that's more dependent on the Steelers and the result they get at the Giants, to be honest. How they're feeling. Is the pressure going to then be back on the Steelers? They're at home. It's a tough one. Has the Blaze got really anything to lose going into the Motor Point Arena? I don't know. You know, you could say that, but league position very tight there, and I see that an overtime win for the Blaze.
I think it'll be close, but I'll go overtime as well. But I think overtime win for the Steelers. No, I think they're going to start gaining some momentum over December. We'll see. Hopefully, that'll stop around the 26th of December. Okay, we'll see how our predictions went in next week's show when we'll be reviewing all of those games. But that's it. So thanks, Aaron, as ever, for joining me. And
thank you, Jono.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for all your tweets on the hot topic this week. We will be back next week. So until then, goodbye.